No luck. So, at the makeshift health center, they tried an after-school reading and homework program.
We didn't have the ability for computers or space or books.
It didn't really work out.
Can you imagine 15 children in here being loud and having fun being children? It creates a bit of a challenge for the work environment here, and no real purpose and feeling of an after-school program.
Please join me in a very warm welcome for His Honor and Bob Blacker.
Enter an unlikely duo, a judge and a former cop.
We need to turn the page of history and begin a new page.
Who together united the office of BC's vice-regal representative and hundreds upon hundreds of Rotarians in a remarkable volunteer project dubbed Right to Read.
A book is a fork in the road, it's a turning place. It has got the power to create a different future.
It started when Stephen Point became BC's 28th Lieutenant Governor, the first Aboriginal person to hold the post. Not surprisingly, as a former lawyer and provincial court judge, he's a bookworm.
You can go anywhere in a book. You know, you can be anybody. You can, and your imagination could go on, and then pretty soon you get the idea that I think I could do that. I could be a lawyer. I could be whatever.
But Point knew Aboriginal literacy rates are far below Canadian average. For some, it's just hard getting a book. Of Canada's 600 plus First Nations, less than a third have a library. So when he found himself aboard a Navy ship visiting some of the most remote communities in BC, he brought boxes of donated books. That's when Point got to talking with his aide-de-camp, Bob Black, who happens to be a member of Rotary Club, a secular charity with the motto, Service Above Self, known for its overseas literacy programs.
I says, you guys still bring books up too, right? You know, like the book country. Oh yeah, it's a big program of ours. Oh yeah.
Then he asked me this question: what am I doing in our own backyard? And I thought for a minute, and I'm thinking, uh-oh. You're not supposed to know these things? I don't. So I said, oh, I'm just going to tell them straight out. I said, Your Honor, I wouldn't have a clue, but I'm going to find out. That was the start of this amazing journey.
Blacker, a retired cop, had impressions of Aboriginal people based on the folks he picked off the streets and stereotypes from his homeland, Australia.
Oh yeah, that's just another element. And it was like, their long life didn't mean anything to you. And so when I came up here, and I see how drunken Indian, so to speak, I was desensitized to it.
But he set to work. He quickly recruited a team of retired librarians who began seeking book donations for First Nations.
And you just sort of slip her in there and behind.
And the books began pouring in.
And we said, well, what are you going to do with them? Are you going to put borrowers, girls, pockets, finals, or, call numbers, separate them all out? And they just sort of, oh. So we said, well, if you want a hand or if you want to know how to do it, just give us a call. And they did. And 2 years later, they're still doing it.
This donated storage locker became headquarters, but the project took on a new scope when a free trailer was offered out. They trucked it to the isolated community of Tusi. Folks here had to drive an hour to take kids to a library, which they did once a week. Suddenly, they had their own.
The trailer got here one day, and then the next day we had it set up. And the next day we had grand opening.
It happened fast because community members and Rotarians all pitched in to help.
Like, we're on the bus, and we sure like to have more.
But success translated into more donations, trailers, books, labor. Companies joined in, as did First Nations with their own contributions to a library.
Prepare the site, give electricity, but also to have a member of your community that we could train to be the library technician, to look after the books.
When Right to Read arrived at the Malahat First Nation, so did an architect, donating his time to imagine what 2 trailers and a library might become.
This feeling is to give us like the longhouse feeling. The wood is fantastic. As we leave the traditional feeling space, we end up coming to where the library place?
The entire space built from donated services and fundraising.
For you, not having government support has been an important part of this project now.
So for me, it's been the most joyous piece of not having any provincial or federal funding, because it's showed the government that we can do this without them. We want to thrive, and more importantly, we want to create relationships with external communities surrounding us to show that we need each other.
Brothers George and Matt Harry have pitched in since day one, eager to learn skills from the trades and journeymen who helped out.
Well, it's going to make a big difference because we never had any of this growing up. So that's one of the major things, the big change.
Breathtaking to see everybody come out.
Come together and work on the building.
Yeah, every single part of this building, a lot of people put their sweat and tears into this building. Okay, this one is it.
And of course, there will be books. Plenty.
What's kind of described, regular pride, and just saying, wow, we did it, almost did it. And that's what it's all about.
Where do you get your books from? Can we go?
Stephen Point finished up as Lieutenant Governor 2 years ago. He was recently reappointed as a provincial court judge. But Judith Guichon, BC's current Lieutenant Governor, enthusiastically endorsed right to read. So far, 6 libraries have been opened, 6 more are on their way, 30,000 books in all. It is, perhaps, a news story for the kids.
It's connecting these folks. It's breaking down barriers that should never have been there. And they're coming out to the community for the first time. And they're saying, we want help. And we can make a better difference by just changing our story.
Or reading a book.
Reading a book. Awesome. Yeah.
Libraries, it has been said, store the energy that fuels the imagination. These libraries owe their beginnings to the imagination of 2 friends, determined to tell kids a new story about Canada. Duncan McHugh, CBC News, Malahat First Nation, BC.
So that's what can happen when you have this sort of conversation with your Lieutenant Governor, and all of a sudden this little nugget of a thought comes up, and away we go. And you know what? It's been one of the most unbelievable rides that I've had in all my career as a police officer. I feel I'm giving more back to my community doing this than I was as a cop. And what I've found, it's just been simply amazing. When we've left our little buildings that you see, we like to be like the software companies. Give them a version. Well, we're at version 4.1. But when we've left these little buildings, they've become a gathering place where the elders would come with the grandchildren. The kids would read to the elders. The elders would teach the kids their crafts. But they're doing something more important. Teaching them their own language, the lost language that was unjustly taken away through the residential school system. If anything, if there is a lesson to be learned and to be passed along to our generation so that we understand where our First Nation come from, you've got to understand what happened with Indian residential schools and look at it right in the face and saying, okay, that was wrong, we're going to do something about it. Because we in Rotary are doing something about it. We are the first ones in this province to recognize, do it, just do it. We have a 3-way test in right to read. It's what is it? Can we do it? Get her done. That's it. When I said to Jeff today that our agreement with the community is a handshake, I feel that's very appropriate because that's showing the highest form of trust that you can have is a handshake. When we meet each other at our Rotary meetings, what do? We give a handshake or we give a hug. And that's very, very important. It's been an amazing, like I said, an amazing journey. Our first one there was version 1, that was Tuesday. That showed us that, get some books, throw them in the trailer, take it up there and get it going. There's something to it. But we were missing a few things. Hey, we didn't have any librarians, so the books were not categorized, they weren't sorted out. So when this amazing group of women came forth and said, we would like to help you out, it was just like it was a gift from the Creator, saying, here you go. We're going to give you some tools to get this job done. So we came out with version 2. Version 2, both these particular libraries are up in the Silkateen, or the Shilkoten. And you know what? We've got 2 more on the books to go back there, and we've got some exciting ones to go back there with. So that one, what am I? Oh, this is what I hate about Java. I'm ready to stick it. Oh, it blazes. Remind me later. God darn. Computers will drive you nuts. Anyways, version 2 was our first stab at putting 2 trailers together, or modules. And that was in Uniseteen up in Stone, which is just down the road from Tusi. The Rotary Club of Williams Lake, they were part and parcel with the Rotary Club of Seashell. They joined together, they made it happen. And then they got all of the local businesses to donate. That was pretty good. On one side it was the community cultural center, and that side was the library. But still, it wasn't good enough. And so, as we moved along, we started getting better. Version 3 was actually our second last module that we would use from Grid Code. What happened is, that first one, we didn't know if we were going to pay for it. When I spoke to the owner of the company that made these particular modules, Grid Code, David Taft, he's a Rotarian from Langley Central. So I'm thinking, I said to David, David, how much? Oh, Bob, it's $17,000. We usually sell them for 25. I thought, well, that's a hell of a deal. I'm down to 17. How am I going to get it down to 0? So we kept talking back and forth, didn't discuss anything about price, but we set it down the truck, picked it up, took it up, and plugged it down in the community. And what do you say? Possession is 9/10 of the law, right? So we thought we'd do that, but what happened was David Taft came to me and said, look, Bob, I want to dedicate this library to my mom, and we're going to give it to you. And I thought, wow, that's a wonderful gesture. But right after that, he said, we're going to give you 2 more. 2 became 14. And that was amazing. But we knew that near the end of that 14th, well, it became 13 because one of them was not good enough to send out. It was starting to deteriorate. Number 13, we knew that if we've got to start looking at designing our own. We've learned so much. You've seen the Malahat building. That was designed in 4 hours by the community. We sat down with the community, Scott and I, you've seen the architect there. We sat down with the community and we said, what's your bucket list? Well, a lot of communities have never heard us guys coming in saying, well, a bucket list? What do you mean a bucket list? Well, what are the things you like to see most? There were 6 of us. An elder, 2 counselors, band administrator, Scott and myself, and a Rotarian from the Courtney Club. Not the Courtney Club, without filming these guys. Okay, Alzheimer's is getting me. I'll think about it in a minute. Here in Melbourne. South Couch. I got it. And we designed that in 4 hours. You know what? You've seen that building. That's exactly the way we designed it. But so many people came forward saying, hang on a minute, we'd like to help you out. The milling was done in kind. That was $80,000 worth of milling of that wood. The wood came from their own lands, was donated. The building's worth over $750,000. Cost us less than $60,000 to put together. And then we got that money through fundraising. So you can see that you can do it. So our version 3, we got better. We're getting a lot more books. This one is at Noach, up in near Merritt. And this time, though, we were supplying the all-in-one computers, the mini iPads, and video conferencing capabilities. All of a sudden, our little buildings were becoming not gathering places, which they always will be, but they're becoming learning centers for adult education. One of the community members said to me, one of the communities I went into, you know, Bob, you're giving us this amazing gift. We never dreamt of getting something like this, ever. But you guys come along and you do it. So now, what we're going to do to repay back that gift is to get educated. So that our people can really come back and run our communities and help us become judges, become lawyers, become doctors, realize their dreams. We can do that in Rotary. Because we can reach out and touch someone. I'm just flabbergasted how much many people have got a hold of me and said, you know, we'd like to do something here because we really believe in what you're doing. This is a grassroots project. There's nothing fancy about it. Diddy-Dad, just down the road. We put a library there. It was opened by the royals, for God's sakes. Prince Edward and Princess Sophie. But it's having that effect that we're looking for. The effect of pride, ownership, and wanting to do something more and getting educated and reading, and being able to read. Version 4.0. That is the design of the library that's going to be taken up to Hanimateen, or in the Namaya Valley in the Sokoti, on Choco Lake. They're very isolated. This particular library is going to be built by our old friends, Brickco. It's going up in 3 pieces. It'll be put together in a week, but it'll look like that. I was just at a meeting 2 weeks ago, and we're finalizing up the final structural details, but you'll see us doing that, and you'll hear announcements of that down the line. So there, all that forth. 4.1. Now this one here is going to be the most amazing one, and this is at Nanaimo, in Nanaimo. And I've been asked to say, well, how come, I thought you were just going to isolated communities. I said, we cannot discriminate where you come from. Our motto is, if you call, we will come. And that's where we come from. That's what we believe in. We believe in, it doesn't matter if you're from the Musqueam to the Tsleil-Waututh, Lillooet, whatever. If you ask us, we'll come. The big guys who've got the money have never called us, and I don't expect that. They've wondered about us, and they've seen what we're doing. But it's the Cayucas, which we're going into next week. The Coast Guard. They said, we'll help you take them into some of those really isolated communities. So they're going to take us into Cayuga. And I'm taking Scott, who's seen in the story there, and we're going to go in and design them, as I call, a kick-ass library, learning center, a great spot, where everybody can really enjoy, not only the kids, but the elders and the parents. This one here is on 2 levels. And as you can see, it's taking on the community wanted to have the logs. It's very important to them. They wanted to have the healing circle with the 4 posts. That's there. See, we're listening to what they want. Anyway, teen, they wanted a media room so that their elders can go in there and talk and pass down the stories, which they can't write, but they can sure as heck tell a great story about. So it can be passed along to generations, so it can't be lost. So anyway, teen said, we want a media room. They go in to get one. The kids said, well, we'd like a bit of a loft to go up and read and not be bothered by our parents. We gave them one. Mind you, the parents had to say yes, they could have it. But that's what's happening. This particular building, I think, is going to be the most amazing building that we've done yet. And we're going to do it. Doesn't, I feel very confident. This one also will be built by Brickco. Again, modularized. Talking to Scott about it, and he said, yeah, we made that mezzanine so that it will form a circle, just like the healing circle, but it also be one that you can go up there and relax, read a book, look out the front windows, go on the balcony, you're looking right across the harbor. So we're making it suit the community, and that's what we like to do. This is where we've been. This is where our libraries are. There are no other organizations doing anything like this in Canada, full stop. Yet, we're the least known. But you know what? That's fine. We just keep plowing ahead because there's 267 communities in British Columbia. Heck, we got a long way to go. We've already got 12 libraries landed. At the end of this year, we'll have 18. At the end of next year, it'll be 22. Simply amazing. We're down to Pachidat, Port Renfrew. I was just over there a month ago. And we're going to do some work with them and their little school down there that needs some help. So we're going to do it. Take over my architect, Scott. He really loves coming with me now because he's always asking, where are you going to take me next? And he loves doing what he's doing, which makes it, a great difference. So, 2016, that's who we're going to open up. This one down the bottom, Yakuchi. If you don't know where Yakuchi is, it's on Stewart Lake, near Fort St. James. And their community development officer, I was blown away. I didn't realize it. She's a Rotary Peace Fellow. All of a sudden, Rotary's coming back to help out.
Bob, I want to stay, but I have to be in front of a judge at 1:30.
Give the judge my regards. I'm sorry. So, the circle is complete with what we're doing with Rotary. And that's what the Peace Fellows are meant all about. She's having a wonderful time in Yakuchi. Now we're going to do something for that community, I know. Here's on our radar, Pachidak, Kokut, Kotsino, Lagalsop was up in the Nishka. Adams Lake, Sikidak is the Gitsan. We've got to get into our friends in Klemtu, Anfield, and Splatson. Splatson's in Vernon. And I've got a few more that are coming up as well. This one here, I love to talk about. This one here is called the Hobbit House. It was given to us, so we had to decide, how are we going to do it? What are we going to do with it? Well, that's now the library up at Metlakatla. It can hold 1,800 books, 3 of the computers, and they parked it right next to a building. And what has happened is the facade of this building here is now the same as the building they attached it to. So that's their relaxing area, and if they want to get a book or go on the computer, they go through a special walkway over to their little library and looks right across the bay by Prince Rupert. They love it. So that's the Hobbit House. It took us a week to get it up there. We had to tow it up, and $1,000 in gas going up and $200 coming back. It almost appeared that we were going into every known gas station on the way up to Prince Rupert. They must have loved us. Buzzed it into the community. All this was done with in-kind donations, though. That's the amazing story about this, was the in-kind, because the folks are saying it's about time. You'll see the list of who's been helping us out and working with us. But there are a couple here I want to really zero in on. See these two on the top here. The Nanaimo Correctional Center, NCC, are making our shelving. Windsor Plywood Foundation has given us money to do that, and we buy all of our materials off them. U-Lock Storage is now our distribution center. That's where we store all of our shelving, and that's where we get our clubs. Our transportation system is the Mission Rotary Club. We'll come over, pick up our shelving, and take it into the community. So all of a sudden, what we're doing here is looking like a business, but it's not. But we've got to organize that way. We have to be. But this one here has been simply outstanding. Pathways, they're the group that go in and get technology into First Nation communities, and we partner with them. Good Mind Books, again, they gave us books, First Nation author books. This is what it's all about. This shot was taken at Seke Dene, in the library we had up there. And you know what? This little community is so isolated that I had 2 years before this, had an email from a teacher said, you know, can you please come up? We've had a tough year. The kids need a library, and you know, if you can do that, I know that will improve things around in our community. There you go. There's proof of it. We say it's about time, and this is my last thing, and I'm out of here. Stephen Point and I were up in Cluskas, which is just outside of, 3.5-hour drive outside of Grinnell. We're visiting the community, and His Honor had looked at it. We were talking with an elder and the director of health, and they gave him a picture of their school kids. And he took the picture and he started laughing, and I thought, oh, that's strange. So he hands the picture to me, doesn't say a word. There in that photograph of all the kids, there's this one young fellow who's got a t-shirt on. The t-shirt said, it's about time. It was a message from us to say, it's about time that we did go back and work with our First Nations and to right what was done wrongly many years ago. Thank you.
I first met Bob and Lieutenant Governor Stephen Point in Port Hardy when they were working with the libraries for Okino and Fort Rupert, and did a story on them, interviewed them, did quite a bit of coverage on the whole library project at Fort Rupert, and I've always been really impressed with that. So I'm really happy that we've had a chance to hear about it here in Port Alberni, and that we're going to see something happen in our area as well. Thank you so much for the information. Fantastic presentation, and for all your really great work. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much. It's a little gift too. I'm sure you've heard it before we test, but you know.
I like that. I like that.